Welcome to the West Coast Ragtime Festival concert. This virtuosic performance is brought to you by the West Coast Ragtime Society and supported by donations from fans like you. Thank you.
Here's how you can help support the musicians featured in this year's online West Coast Ragtime Festival. 100% of the donations received will support the musicians featured all weekend. There are 3 ways for you to donate to West Coast Ragtime Society. First, you can donate to us using PayPal. You can get there from the West Coast Ragtime Festival donation page or by going to the festival's page on PayPal using the addresses shown on screen. You can also make a donation to us by credit card. Please call area code 415-891-3096 to donate using a credit card. Our festival staff is available throughout the weekend, during our live broadcasts, in between our live broadcasts, and 1 hour after our broadcasts to accept credit card donations over the phone. That's Friday, November 20th, 3 to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, the 21st and 22nd, noon to 9 p.m., Pacific Standard Time. Lastly, you can make a donation by check at the address displayed here. West Coast Ragtime Society, P.O. Box 13346, Sacramento, California, 95813. All this information is also available on the Facebook and YouTube page for each concert. We greatly appreciate all your support. Good evening, everyone. I'm Virginia Tishner, Festival Director for the West Coast Ragtime Festival. For those of you joining us for the first time, we're starting momentarily with the second concert of our online festival, the Friday Evening Concert, broadcasting on Friday, November 20th, 2020. Sit back and enjoy these amazing performers. Along with the great lineup of performers, we are delighted to present our Master of Ceremonies for this show, Matt Tolentino. Take it away, Matt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our West Coast Ragtime Festival online concert series. My name is Matt Tolentino, and it gives me great pleasure to be serving as your MC tonight to welcome our fabulous performers, great musicians from around the United States and beyond. Our first performer needs no introduction, as he is a staple at the West Coast Ragtime Festival, as well as just about anywhere ragtime and early jazz can be found. Hailed by the press as one of the finest concert pianists in the world, familiar with late romantic classical music, as well as early jazz and the art of accompanying silent films, which truly is an art, would you please welcome the one and only Frederick Hodges.
In the 1920s, George Gershwin was regarded as America's greatest composer. As such, he was frequently asked by journalists for his expert assessment of the relative merits of other composers. Gershwin was a man of impeccable manners, grace, good character, sincerity, and generosity. When asked what he thought of the popular composer Harry Axt, Gershwin cheerfully replied that Harry Axt is one of the cleverest composers on Broadway. Harry Axt was indeed a tremendously talented composer of popular independent songs, scores for Broadway shows, and later songs for Hollywood movies. Certainly among his most successful compositions must be listed the 1925 hit Dinah, with its unforgettable lyrics by Sam M. Lewis and Joe Young. The song was introduced by Ethel Waters on Broadway at the Plantation Club and almost instantaneously became a worldwide hit. One corner of the world that opened its heart to the song was the German-speaking regions of Central Europe, where it was given a set of new lyrics as a collaborative effort of the famous Viennese composers Dr. Rudolf Zieginski and Fritz Lohner-Beda. Now, I consider myself extremely fortunate to have such a sophisticated, educated, and worldly audience. As such, I'm sure you will appreciate the wit, clever wordplay, and poetic allusions in the Viennese version of Dinah. Pardon me while I slip into something a little more European. ersten Mal. Sieh die braune Waldalraune und seit dieser Stunde klingt das Lied aus seinem Munde. Deiner, meine sonnige Deiner, braunes Kind von Carolina, alle Blumen, die süßen, grüßen deine nur dich, deiner, jede Rose blüht deiner, jede Rose glüht deiner, du erfüllst mein ganzes Sein. Mond und Stern, Sturm und Wind lieben dich, des dunklen Waldes Kind, Liebste, wann bist du mein? Deine, meine sonnige Deiner, braunes Kind von Carolina, deiner ewig bin ich dein. Mond und Stern, Sturm und Wind lieben dich, des dunklen Waldes Kind, Liebste, wann bist du mein? Oh, deine, meine sonnige Deine, braunes Kind von Carolina, deiner ewig bin ich dein. In 1915, the celebrated composer Jerome Kern was asked to help produce a series of musical shows at the Princess Theater in New York City. The catch was that the theater had only 299 seats. This required that the shows have the highest possible production values in order to attract an audience and sell every single seat during each performance. Inevitably, however, the shows were so popular that every production, while starting its run in the tiny Princess Theater, eventually moved to a major Broadway theater of conventional size. The first Princess Theater was called Nobody Home, which was an adaptation of Paul Rubens' 1905 London show, Mr. Popple of Ippleton. But almost all of the music was replaced by new songs by Jerome Kern and a few choice collaborations between Kern and the leading ragtime theater composers of the day, Ford Dabney and James Reese Europe. One of the new songs in Nobody Home capitalized on the new phenomena of the movie star, an intensification and intimate personalization of a type of universal fame that had never existed before in human society. Consider this. Before the advent of movies, an actor could only achieve fame and recognition as a result of appearing in public on stage. Only a tiny fraction of a society's population could afford to be in a theater audience. And then, except for the lucky few in the first row, very few audience members could ever get a good and accurate look at the face of an actor. Movies changed that. A ticket only cost a nickel. And because of the tremendous size of the screen, an actor's face, especially in a close-up, could be seen in intimate detail by everyone in the theater, including those in the very back row. Such closeness occurs amongst humans only in the most intimate and tender circumstances, such as when a baby gazes into his mother's eyes while suckling at her breast, or when two sweethearts embrace in a moment of passion. The intense flood of neurochemicals that overwhelm the brain during these private moments were now released on a massive societal scale by the phenomenon of the movie close-up. As a result, the movie star was born. Millions of people, merely by going to a movie theater, now imagined themselves in a profound, abiding, and intense emotional relationship with someone they had never actually met. One of the first movie stars who achieved worldwide fame and adoration was Charlie Chaplin. He had only started making films 1 year before, in 1914, but had captivated the imagination of the world. Not only was his image of the little tramp embraced by the public, but the very way that the little tramp walked entranced everyone and started a craze. Songwriters in 1915 responded with a series of songs with titles such as Those Charlie Chaplin Feet by Edgar Leslie and Archie Gottler, and That Charlie Chaplin Walk by William Downes and Roy Barton. In collaboration with Schuyler Green and Otto Motzan, Jerome Kern produced his own contribution to the fad of Chaplin songs and built around it an elaborate dance number for Nobody Home. Imagine, if you will, a Broadway stage full of perfectly choreographed chorus girls, all dressed as Charlie Chaplin, mustachioed, ragged clothing, derby hats, canes twirling, all singing and dancing the Chaplin Walk. Dance creation, there's a brand new dance sensation that has hurled this peaceful nation in a whirl of syncopation since Charlie Chaplin came to town. Just see them imitating Chaplin's walk, just see them syncopating Chaplin's walk. musical theater, we naturally think of Broadway shows. That is, shows that originated in Broadway theaters in New York City. There was, however, a parallel world of original stage productions in Chicago. These Chicago shows were just as lavish and well-produced as those on Broadway. Just like Broadway shows, Chicago shows went on national tours after their initial run. Some Chicago shows, however, were so successful that after their Chicago run, they moved to Broadway in New York and resumed life there before beginning a national tour. After a few months of out-of-town tryouts, one such show, called The Sweetheart Shop, premiered to rave reviews in Chicago at the Illinois Theater on April 11th, 1920. 4 months later, on August 31st, 1920, the Knickerbocker Theater in New York City was the venue for the opening performance of the New York run of The Sweetheart Shop. While most of the music was written by Viennese composer Hugo Felix, during out-of-town tryouts, the producer, Edgar McGregor, asked up-and-coming 22-year-old George Gershwin to write something uplifting, cheerful, and bright for the lead ingenue, Helen Ford, to sing at a key part of the drama. George asked his brother Ira to write the lyrics, but Ira was concerned that McGregor would turn the song down if he learned that the brother of the composer had written the lyric. So Ira created for himself the pseudonym of Arthur Francis, based on the names of his 2 other siblings, his brother Arthur and his sister Frances. When McGregor asked George, "Who is this Arthur Francis?" the composer wryly replied, "Oh, he's a clever college boy with lots of talent." The song I'm about to play for you was Ira Gershwin's first published song. Within a year, it had earned him $1,300. Following the Broadway run, The Sweetheart Shop went on a national tour and delighted audiences all over the country. Gershwin's song was singled out as one of the very best in the show. I now give you that song, Waiting for the Sun to Come Out. Don't take it too hard, let worry depart. Soon the sunshine will say howdy. Skies are not forever cloudy. Just learn to sing and never mope. There is a thing that's known as hope. Weary are the flowers, dreary are the hours waiting for the sun to come out. Yet while clouds are crying, I smile, never sighing, for I know that presently the sun will come and smile on me. Gray skies will be clearing, gay skies soon appearing, chasing every worry and doubt. There's no use in having sorrow about while waiting for the sun to come out. music of the ragtime era is remarkable for its originality, its creativity, its wide range of moods, and its humor. In 1918, while World War I was raging in Europe, a trio of top songwriters came together to write one of the best of the literally thousands of songs churned out by the music publishing industry, all designed to keep the American public engaged with the war effort. Alfred Bryan, Cliff Hess, and Edgar Leslie came up with a song in which ragtime music itself was America's secret weapon for defeating the Germans on the battlefields of France. The song I'm about to play for you can be seen as a further episode in the life of the character Alexander, the band leader, created by Irving Berlin and popularized in his 1911 song Alexander's Ragtime Band. In the Bryan, Hess, Leslie musical contribution to the legend, Alexander has weaponized his band and taken it to France, not to kill the German troops, but to disarm and pacify them. I give you When Alexander Takes His Ragtime Band to France. What's that tune I hear ringing in my ear? Come on along, it's a wonderful idea. It's Alexander's band from down in Dixieland. He's going over there to do his share. When Alexander takes his ragtime band to France, he'll capture every Hun and take them one by one. Those ragtime tunes will put the Germans in a trance. They'll throw their guns away, hip hooray, and start right into dance. They'll get so excited, they'll come over the top. Two-step back to Berlin with a skip and a hop. Old Hindenburg will know he has no chance when Alexander takes his ragtime band to France.
The one and only Frederick Hodges. And what a way to get our program started, am I right? Well, our next performer is another staple here at the West Coast Ragtime Festival, and when he isn't busy transcribing old dual art piano rolls to make the past come alive, he's busy writing his own ragtime music. Indeed, it is important to support the artists and composers and pianists that are working not only to preserve written ragtime, but to encourage the composition of new ragtime as well. So, and he also has a wonderful CD out. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Would you please welcome Vincent Matthew Johnson.
This piece is kind of a knockoff of Kitten on the Keys. It was written in 1924 by the great Boston pianist Sid Reinhardt. He calls it Mahjong. Here's a song that I wrote in 2017 for the family dog Sigmund. It's called the Shih Tzu Blues. by the great St. Louis ragtimer, Artie Matthews. It was published 100 years ago this year in 1920. It's called the Pastime Rag Number 4.
Thank you, Vincent. And as I mentioned, you can find his music on the Rivermont record label. His album, Invincible Syncopations, is an album of entirely original ragtime music, written composed by Vincent, and played by the great Max Kinley Slide. So what more could you ask for? And speaking of what more could you ask for, it gives me great pleasure to announce our next two performers, Jeff and Anne Barnhart. Their lively duo, Ivory and Gold, is known the whole world over for the great performances that they put on. So please welcome Jeff and Anne Barnhart.
Not all ragtime has to be fast and crazy, frenetic. It can be beautiful and sweet. And this is one of the most beautiful and sweet rags ever written by Larissa Migachov in 2011, and written for a fallen hero of all of ours, the great stride pianist from Australia, John Gill. She calls it Eucalyptus Dreams, and this is in memory of John Gill. It is a beautiful tune. It's slow enough you feel like dancing. Grab on and do it. Thank you for writing such a beautiful piece, Larissa. We love performing it.
Thank you, Larissa. Thank you, everyone.
As Ivory Gold, we have well over 800 tunes in our repertoire. And whenever we're doing a set, whether it's live in front of people or virtual, one of the things that Anne insists on is that she gets to pick some of the tunes. And fair enough, we're equal partners in this duo. But she continually picks, of the 800 tunes or more that we do, my least favorite song. I hate this song.
Oh, poor baby.
It's not a poorly written tune. The title alone should tell you why it's so offensive. A good man is hard to find. What does that even mean? Anyhow,
Well,
I'm doing this under duress.
You know, since I had to sing, what was that song in the 1920s show? You can't keep a good man down. I thought I had to have a little comeback too.
Well, and actually this is, even though ironically it was written earlier, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's a prequel sequel. A prequel. A pre-sequel.
You miss us, don't you?
Boy, do we miss you.
We miss you.
Here we go.
A flat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not true.
I regret the day that I was born and that man of mine I'd ever seen. My happiness, it never lasts a day.
Oh, boo-hoo.
My heart is almost breaking while I say a good man is hard to find. You always get the other kind. Just when you think that is your pal, you find him messing round with some other gal, and then you rave, you even crave to see your man down in his grave. So if your man is nice, take my advice. Hug him in the
Oh, that was
morning,
good.
kiss him every
I like
night.
this tune now.
Give him plenty of loving,
Yeah.
baby, treat him
Yeah.
right, because a good man nowadays they're hard to find.
Oh, I like it now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yesterday my heart from care was free. I sang all through the day. Now the blues have overtaken me since my loving man has gone away.
I'm right here.
I tried my best to be so nice and kind,
Oh, yeah.
but now those words they're running through my mind. A good man is hard to find. You always get the other kind. Just when you think that is your pal, you find him messing around with some younger gal, and then you rave.
Only once.
You even crave to see your man dead in his grave. So if your man ain't nice, take my advice. Watch him in the morning, find out where he goes. Take away his money, burn up all his clothes. Because a good man nowadays they're hard to find. Because a good man nowadays they're hard to find. That was for you, Richard.
All right, well, the way you sing it, I like it again.
Oh, okay.
Especially the hug him in the morning part. I don't think I like the graveyard part. We're going to have to talk about this one
I don't
while we
know.
have a drink. We hope you're drinking too. Unless you're underage, In which case, we hope you're drinking privately.
Jeffrey.
Bye.
Bye.
This song has an incredible pedigree. It was written by Neil Moray. He's better known as Charles N. Daniels, the great composer and publisher. And of course, one of our friends, sadly no longer with us. Nan Bostic was working on Uncle Charlie's biography right up until her untimely demise. So, of course, we always think of her when we're doing this tune. Now, whenever Charlie wrote as Neil Moray, he was expecting the song to be taken seriously, quasi-classical, perhaps a bit of an art song. Chloe is one of them, and it was until Spike Jones got a hold of that one. Well, this may be our Spike Jones version, let's see, of Song of the Wanderer, which again, written by Neil Moray, is supposed to be sung rather seriously. We just have a good romping, syncopated time with it. And I'll tell you another thing too, what an ironic tune to choose given the situation we're in.
Song of the Wanderer.
Yeah. Who's going anywhere? No. All right, so here we go with Song of the Wanderer. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Roads are so dusty, dear, days are so long. My feet grow rusty, dear, just wandering on. All the world's a mockery, and even tree stumps laugh at me, 'cause I'm such a fool to be longing for you. Now where shall I go when I go where I go? When you have sent me away, what shall I do when I do what I do? When you still haunt me all day, what will I find what I found when I first met you? You were unkind, but I simply can't forget you. Where will I go when I go where I go? When you have sent me away. Come on, baby. Yeah, let's trade forks. Where can I rest my head to ease the pain? Where can I make my bed just to dream in vain? So I'll keep wandering, summer, winter, fall, and spring, just as long as memories cling, memories of you. Now where will I find what I found when I first met you? You were kind, but I simply can't forget you. When you have sent me, we can hear your applause all the way from wherever you are. During these unprecedented times, it's been a little hard to find tunes that would be appropriate for the situation we're in. I found one from 1915, which speaks to me quite a bit. It was written by the celebrated Walter Donaldson and a lyricist called Howard Johnson. Not sure if it had anything to do with the hotel chain. I don't know. But I do know that this song is a perfect one for right now. Virtually all of you are watching this virtual show, most likely from, if not your hometown, the town you've lived in for a good amount of time. And so this one called "You'd Never Know That Old Hometown of Mine" might ring pretty true. Anyhow, I love doing it for you. Hope you enjoy. You'd never know that old hometown of mine. Take a rest, so I hopped a train and started to a place I love the best, back to my hometown once again, where I could ease my tired brain. Instead of peace and quiet, 'twas a riot. I went most insane. You never know that old hometown of mine. At night along the main street, white lights shine. The old YMCA is now a cabaret, and the girls all look so neat, so cute, so pretty too. The farmers do their work in evening clothes. Not one keeps tabs on where his neighbor goes. Nobody knows. And men who've stayed home all their lives are dancing every night with other fellas' wives. You never know that old hometown of mine. Time can bring a lot of changes. That's a thing that's truly seen. All you see round town are strangers hanging round the village green. Why, even Paul's forgotten how to milk the good old brindle cow. And all the boys play poker, use the joker. It's all different now. Ah, you never know that old hometown of mine. Both Deacon Jones and Parson Brown drink wine. Why, all the surface cars have little service bars. And that old town clown called Gus the Cuss, he's got a jitney bus around the town a horse is never seen. For every boob has bought a Ford machine with gasoline. Wonders there will never stop. The police department thinks that he's a regular cop. You never know that old hometown of mine. I say, you never know that old hometown of mine. Stay safe in your hometowns. I'm looking forward to being all together in person again. Bye-bye.
Yes, indeed. Would you please put your hands together for Jeff and Anne Barnhart, Ivory and Gold. Like I said, known the whole world over for wonderful performances just like that. Jeff has recorded over 120 full-length albums. Pretty amazing. And of course, he's one of the funniest guys I know too. And a little personal anecdote, I'm honored and proud to say I share a birthday with Jeff, May 10th. The year's a little different, but the month and the date are the same. And Fred Astaire too. How about that?
The great performers presented in this year's online version of the West Coast Ragtime Festival are being compensated solely by donations from viewers like you. 100% of the donations received will support the musicians featured all weekend. There are 3 ways for you to donate to West Coast Ragtime Society. First, you can donate to us using PayPal. You can get there from the West Coast Ragtime Festival donation page or by going to the festival's page on PayPal using the addresses shown on screen. You can also make a donation to us by credit card. Please call area code 415-891-3096 to donate using a credit card. Our festival staff is available throughout the weekend, during our live broadcasts, in between our live broadcasts, and 1 hour after our broadcasts to accept credit card donations over the phone. That's Friday, November 20th, 3 to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, the 21st and 22nd, noon to 9 p.m., Pacific Standard Time. Lastly, you can make a donation by check at the address displayed here. West Coast Ragtime Society, P.O. Box 13346, Sacramento, California 95813. All this information is also available on the Facebook and YouTube page for each concert. We greatly appreciate all your support.
Well, anyway, let's move along here and welcome our next performer, our youngest performer we've had here thus far. And actually, I want to pull a little bit here from last year's West Coast Ragtime Festival program here, because there's a lot here and I want to make sure I get it all absolutely right. 20-year-old Diego Bustamante from Paradise, California, became interested in ragtime when as a kid he heard The Entertainer by Scott Chaplin. The ragtime world first discovered him at the West Coast Youth Ragtime Competition in 2010. Since then, he has appeared at Sutter Creek, Oakhurst, and West Coast festivals, and the Old Town Music Hall in El Segundo. Would you please put your hands together for Diego Bustamante?
This is Yubi's Classical Rag by Yubi Blake from 1972. This is The Belle of Los Angeles by my good friend John Reed Torres from 2012. One of the sections of this piece features the habanera rhythm in the left hand, and this is meant to signify the great influence of Latin America on the city of Los Angeles. Hope you enjoy. This is The Cascades by Scott Chaplin. This piece was inspired by a great fountain display that was featured at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. This is Della Robbia by Zez Confrey from 1938. The title refers to a popular dining area in the New York Vanderbilt Hotel called the Della Robbia Room, in which Zez Confrey was hired as the house pianist.
Thank you, Diego. We appreciate your performance, and thanks for joining in and being part of our celebration here, our online West Coast Ragtime Festival Friday night concert. It's always great to see younger performers like Diego and myself at the ripe old age of 35. I can say it's good to see that there's younger folks playing this great music that we all know and love so much. So when you see Diego live, when all these clouds pass, and when you see all these performers live once again, please make sure and tell them how much you appreciate everything that they do. So we're going to move along here and change the pace a little bit and feature a ragtime band. That's right, a ragtime band. The Pacific Coast Ragtime Orchestra is going to be playing for you next. And myself personally, I'm partial to the ragtime bands because as an accordion player, they really help me pick my repertoire. Because as an accordion, one thing I lack is a sustain pedal. So there's a lot of ragtime music I cannot play, but anytime I hear a great ragtime band, it always inspires me and makes me say, gee, I ought to learn that. And they're going to play a couple tunes that I ought to learn. So would you please put your hands together for the Pacific Coast Ragtime Orchestra.
Hello, West Coast Ragtime Festival. We are the Pacific Coast Ragtime Orchestra, here to play for you virtually. We are at the top of our musical game for this. When I say top, we mean time of pandemic. Please enjoy, dance, listen, have fun. We miss you. I hope you miss us. We're going to start with Calliope Rag.
Thank you very much, guys, and as you heard them say, that is the Calliope Rag by James Scott, a tune with a pretty interesting story about how we got to know the tune as we do. But that's for another time and place. That's for another time and place. Let's hear another from them, and actually, let's hear our first Chaplin piece of the night. Here is the Rose Leaf Rag.
1, 2, 3.
Some nice classic ragtime from the one and only Scott Chaplin, the king of ragtime, and played by the Pacific Coast Ragtime Orchestra. Let's hear another one from them, except this time let's take a trip down to Argentina for a tune written by Carlos Gardel, known as Argentina's Tango Maestro. Here is Por una Cabeza. Well, let's hear one more from the Pacific Coast Ragtime Orchestra, and we're going to go back stateside once again, get a little closer to home, a little New Orleans this time, written by the great Clarence Williams. Here is Cakewalkin' Babies from Home.
Cakewalkers may come, cakewalkers may go, but I want to tell you about a couple I know. Hi, Stephen Pear, Debonair. When it comes to business, the soul can be bad. Here they come, look at them demonstrating growing strong. Ain't they syncopating, talking the town, flying around, picking them up. Ain't this syncopated battle cry so the only way to win is to chill. You may tire, but you won't beat 'em. Stretch your stuff, stretch your stuff, and walk the babies from Cakewalkers may come and cakewalkers may go, but I want to tell you about a couple I know. Their eyes step and pair, so debonair, but when it comes to business, they're so independent. Here they come, look at them demonstrating going strong. Ain't they syncopating, top of the town, fooling around, picking them up and then look at them syncopating, they're a class alone. Now the only way to win is to cheat 'em. You may tire, but man, you will not beat 'em. Stretch your stuff, oh, stretch your stuff. Can't rock the babies from home, no, lady. Can't rock the babies from home.
Well, I said we would have some great ragtime music from the United States and beyond, and I cannot tell a lie. Coming to us from Buenos Aires, down in Argentina, comes our next performer. When he's not playing ragtime, which he's been doing for over half a century, he can be found teaching as he's a professor at the University of Buenos Aires. So would you please welcome Ezequiel?
Hi, I am Ezequiel Palleja from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm very pleased and honored to be part of this West Coast Ragtime Festival, which is for me a truly second home, as I used to participate in the last 8 versions from 2012 to 2019. You cannot imagine how happy I am to play and listen to the music I love so much, ragtime and early jazz. I hope you may enjoy my compositions and renditions, as many of you already did during my present performances in the near past. Thank you very much to the whole ragtime family.
And here's our first tune from 1910. Here's the Spaghetti Rag. beautiful piece entitled Rag for Maria. It's only fitting that Ezequiel plays this next one. This is a true Argentinian tango from 1905, El Choclo. practice in the ragtime days was to rag the classics. You've heard of operatic nightmares and things like that. Well, here Ezequiel is going to rag the classics for you as he presents his take on Rubinstein's Melody in F. We have one more tune with our Argentinian friend. It's a true classic that truly bridged the gap between ragtime and jazz. Written in 1917 down in New Orleans by the one and only Nick LaRocca of the original Dixieland Jazz Band, here is The Tiger Rag. Ezequiel Palleja from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And thank you for making our show here truly international. We appreciate you. Well, we have one more performer for you here, and we're going to leave Argentina and go to the Midwest, to the great city of St. Louis, Missouri. For Ethan Leinwand, we're going to join him in his living room. And Ethan is a master of barrel house style piano and ragtime and early blues. In fact, last year at the 2019 West Coast Ragtime Festival, he gave an excellent talk all about the history of barrel house piano. So it was much fun. The only thing more fun than that is getting to hear him play. So Ethan, please take it away.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to my living room in St. Louis, Missouri. My name is Ethan Leinwand. Thrilled to be a part of this West Coast Ragtime Festival virtual event. For the first song in my set, I'm going to play a tune by Jabo Williams, who was an early boogie-woogie barrel house player from Alabama who settled in St. Louis. In 1932, he made 8 recordings, and this is one of them. This is the Pratt City Blues. Pratt City Blues. Well, for my next piece, I would like to play Traber Tishner's Buck Snort Stomp from 1964. stomp. Well, here's a blues from the great Jimmy Yancey. This is called Jimmy Stuff Number 2. For my final piece, I would like to play a great barrelhouse masterpiece that comes from Cow Davenport. This is his Atlanta Rag, which he adapted from the Trilby Rag. So here we go, Atlanta Rag.
thank you, Ethan. And big thanks to all of you out there in television land. That's a little Stan Freberg for all you kids. Thank you for watching our Friday night concert here at the West Coast Ragtime Festival. Again, my name is Matt Tolentino, and it has been my great pleasure to welcome these great musicians right directly into your living room for your listening and maybe even dancing pleasure. If you would like to figure out how you can contribute to the West Coast Ragtime Festival to ensure that this great music continues for years to come, simply hop on to westcoastragtime.org and see how you can contribute and be a big part of our festival. Again, I'm Matt Tolentino signing off. Please join us tomorrow night, and we have great music for you, more great entertainers, and a fabulous MC, Mr. Richard Dowling. So have a good night, and we will see you next time.
The great performers presented in this year's online version of the West Coast Ragtime Festival are being compensated solely by donations from viewers like you. 100% of the donations received will support the musicians featured all weekend. There are 3 ways for you to donate to West Coast Ragtime Society. First, you can donate to us using PayPal. You can get there from the West Coast Ragtime Festival donation page or by going to the festival's page on PayPal using the addresses shown on screen. You can also make a donation to us by credit card. Please call area code 415-891-3096 to donate using a credit card. Our festival staff is available throughout the weekend, during our live broadcasts, in between our live broadcasts, and 1 hour after our broadcasts to accept credit card donations over the phone. That's Friday, November 20th, 3 to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, the 21st and 22nd, noon to 9 p.m., Pacific Standard Time. Lastly, you can make a donation by check at the address displayed here. West Coast Ragtime Society, P.O. Box 13346, Sacramento, California, 95813. All this information is also available on the Facebook and YouTube page for each concert. We greatly appreciate all your support. We hope you've enjoyed Day 1 of the 34th Annual Online West Coast Ragtime Festival. We have another 2 days of fantastic concert programs to enjoy, so rest up for more fun tomorrow and Sunday. See you tomorrow, Saturday, November 21st, for 3 more concert programs. Our complete festival schedule can be found on our website at the address displayed on screen. Reminder that Bob Gonzalez is still manning the phone to accept your credit card donations for another hour or so. Good night. See you tomorrow.